Okay, good evening. We're continuing the Talmud series. I believe today it's number 10. And we are in Masechet Rosh Hashanah. And we finished Masechet Eruvin, Masechet Shabbat, Masechet Psachim, Masechet Brachot. And now we are in a fifth Masechet. We're going in the right order like the Talmud present them. And I see some new faces here just to give you the foundation that for those who do not understand what the Talmud is, this is all the oral laws, all the oral Torah that the Jews received in Mount Sinai together with the written Torah. As it was given together, the written Torah was written right away. And within the period of 40 years that the Jews were in the desert, it was concluded in the last day of the life of Moses. Up to Parashat Yitro, the chapter of the story with Moshe and Yitro, up to then it was given right away when the Jews received the Torah. And from then on, it took 40 years. Every few months or few years, Moshe was writing another part of the Torah. The last day of his life, he wrote 12 Sifrei Torah and actually 13 altogether. One they put in a coffin, and the other 12 he gave one to each tribe. There were 12 tribes. And that's the story of the written Torah. However, as I explained many times in the past, you cannot understand or follow any law in a written Torah without understanding the oral parts that applies to it from A to Z. If you're missing one detail, you cannot fulfill the order of God 100%. Now, I'll give you just an example. If you owe a tax to the government, right? Let's say you owe them $10,000, and you send them a check for $9,997. You show $3. They'll look at you as a righteous person. No, show $3. Nobody's going to take you to jail or to take away your rights or to look at you as a negative person. Why? No, after all, you did 99% of your obligation. When it comes to divine laws, if you miss one detail, it becomes zero. People have to understand. If God say to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G in that order, and you skip one or you mix the order, it became zero. Same thing tefillin. We put tefillin every day. Tefillin has more than 1,000 laws applies to it. More than 1,000. If one of them was done incorrect, the tefillin is nothing. It's like a piece of stone. Like taking a rock on the street and put it on your head. There's no meaning. There's the names of God there. There's 99.9% of His instructions we follow. If we skip one, it's not a kosher tefillin. What do you have to do with that? Bury it in the ground and go buy another pair. And it happens. Unfortunately, it happens. Why? When God gave the orders, no human being, as brilliant as he may be, include Moshe himself, can modify the laws of God even by 1 inch. Nothing. No one is allowed. That's why the way that God presented the oral Torah, it wasn't written. It was forbidden to write it because God did not want all the nations to have the secrets of His Torah. If everything would be written in one book, the Gentiles, they don't need the Jewish court to convert them. They take the book, they learn it very well, they pretend that they're Jews. The men in those days, everyone had a beard, everyone had a hat in those days. All he has to do is to learn the language and to make himself feeling according to that book. A talit, Shabbos, he understands the law of the Sabbath. He learns by himself. One day he show up in a Jewish town. Who are you? My name is Abraham. Where are you from? I'm from that city. What are you? Yeah, of course I'm Jewish. You marry a Jew. Nobody knows anything. Why? He doesn't need the court. He doesn't need anyone. He can do it on his own. Since God told the Jews that I chose you from all the nation, you are my children, and I'm not allowing you to do what the other nations allowed. In order for him to keep the Jews separately, in a special status, he had to give them the secrets of the Torah verbally, not written. And that's the secrets. If God forbid, I always say, if the Nazis would come in a time of the Holocaust to the Jews and say, well, we have to burn one of your Torahs, the written or the oral, one of them, one we would leave you with, which one we would have to give them? If they want to burn the Shulchan Aruch, the Gemara, or they want to burn the scroll, which one supposedly is holier? Well, the Torah is the highest thing, the written Torah, no? But which one is more necessary for us? Which one? Without the halacha, without the oral law, we cannot do one thing in Judaism. What's the point? So we have the story, we have the names of the commandments, we have the historical part of Judaism, but we would not know how to do one halacha. After a year or 2 or 10 or 20 years, people would start forgetting things. There's going to be contradiction, arguments. We won't have where to learn it. So the oral law is really the foundation of Judaism. That's the main thing. So this is what when you say Talmud, Talmud means it's a concentration of 1,300 years of learning of the oral laws in Israel and in Babylon. Babylon, it's Bavel, Iraq, where Iraq is today. You should know that when the Americans went to Iraq and they went into the treasures of Saddam Hussein, יימח שמו, they found many Jewish treasures there. Among them, Torah scrolls that are older than 1,000 years old. And all kinds of oral things, like the Talmud and things from 100 years ago, written on a scroll. Some of them were brought to America, some of them were sent to the museums in Israel. Right? So obviously even this murderer, terrorist, יימח שמו, he knew the value of these things. As I once say in one of my lectures, that the ones who testified about the holiness of the Torah better than anyone are the Muslims. Everything they scream and say, most of what they say, they learn from our Torah. Right? Ibrahim, Yusuf, all these names comes from the Torah. They don't touch pork because they learn it in our Torah. They don't lend with interest because they learn it in the Torah. They made themselves a special day, a holy day supposedly. They learned that concept from the Torah. The women dress the way they are, they learn it from the Jews. Everything they do positive, they learn from the Jews. Everything. And then they added their own nonsense. But besides that, everything that they do positive, like charity, where they learn that idea from the Torah. Charity, marriage, kiddushin, divorce, all these ideas, where they learn it from? All from the Torah. Prayers, the ability to go to a place, to a building, to pray together. Where they learn that from? From the Torah. So everything they do positive comes from the Torah. And they're not denying it. In case you think they are denying it, you come to me after the lecture, I'll show you more than 20 sources in the Torah that they write in the Quran that the Torah is holier. And it's more reliable from the Quran. If you ever have a doubt about the Quran, you have to go and check in the Torah. In the Quran it says it. So obviously that's the end of the argument. The argument can never start once your opponent comes to court. I'll give you an example what I mean. Let's say the Gemara says, Shnayim ochazin betalit. 2 Jews found a lost object. Talit is just an example. It can be a briefcase, it can be a laptop, it can be anything. 2 people are grabbing to it, right? Me and another person, we claim that we found this notebook. So I pull to my side, he pulled to his side. I say, I found it first. He said, no, I found it first. But it's a matter of a tenth of a second who picked it up from the floor earlier. The one who grabbed to it and picked it up first, he is officially the owner. Maybe the other one is making a mistake. He thinks we did it together. Maybe he thinks he was a second earlier. That's the argument. There's no witnesses. They come to court. No side can prove that they own the object. What's going to be the law? 50-50. There's no proofs. He cannot prove, he cannot prove. But now the Gemara brings a second scenario. We're going to learn from it something very interesting. The Gemara says, one say, it's all mine, which means I found it, I picked it up first. The other one say, it's half and half. It's half yours, half mine. Why? He claimed that we picked it up exactly in the same time. We picked it up. Which means we are partners. If we grabbed to it at the same time and picked it up together, then you have to take half and I have to take half. So what's the law? As a judge, when no witnesses, it's his word against his word. How would you share it? So technically you would think that one say it's all mine, and one say half of it is mine. You give him 2/3, and you give him 1/3. That's what you would think. The Torah say no. That guy that says it's all mine, he gets 75%. And the one that says half mine, he gets 25%, only a quarter. So the question is, why? He wanted everything, he got 75% of what he asked for, right? He wanted the whole thing, the court gave him 75%. He wanted half, he wanted 50%, and you only gave him a quarter, so you gave him half of what he asked. So why you give this guy 75% of what he wants, and you give this guy 50% of what he wants when you don't have any witnesses to each side? Where is the justice? So the answer of the Torah is, on the first 50%, there is no argument. Why? Both of them admit that it belongs to the first guy. Right? I say it's all mine. And you say, no, half of it is mine. So that means on half you admitted to me that it's mine. Now we are arguing only on 50%. And in that case, half goes to you, half goes to me. I got 75%, you got 25%, because on that one there's no proofs. But since my opponent, my enemy, whatever he is admitting that half is mine at least, that the judge has no options. Right away he has to give me the half. Let's start the argument about the other half. That's why I always say, when the Christians and the Muslims and many of the cults say, yes, the Jews received the Torah in Mount Sinai, that moment they bury themselves for eternity. Why? Because everything they're going to say has to be compared to the Torah. Why? Because on the Torah everyone admits it's the word of God. The Jews, the Muslims, the Christians, and many other goyim. On Christianity, we the Jews claim it's nonsense. It was never given by any holy source. Same thing Islam. So now, about us, there's no argument. You yourself admitted that God gave it to us. Now we go, what we have, it's a certainty. We have 100% knowledge, it's authentic, there's no argument about it. Everything they have, right away, have 50% doubt. Because the main nation in history deny that it was ever received from God. As definitely the new books that came later cannot contradict the Torah in any way. When you review Christianity and Islam, and you see in many places they say the opposite of what God says in the Torah, you know right away that a liar wrote it, not a person that received it from God. Besides the fact that those books have no prophecies whatsoever. Any holy book, we have 24 books in Judaism, they're all full of prophecies. What is it a prophecy? If I come and say, in 5 years from now, there will be more than 1,000 yellow cabs in Fifth Avenue every hour. That's not a prophecy. That's a certainty. It happens every day for 80 years already. Every day there's tons of yellow. Perhaps in 10 years there's a very, very big chance that it will continue. If I say in 50 years there will be a special military base on the moon, United States will build a special atomic nuclear facility on the moon. If I say something like that, and 50 years later it seems that I was right, it still doesn't make me a prophet. Why? Maybe the engineer that was in charge of it is my cousin or my brother, and he told me the secret. That doesn't make me a prophet. What makes me a prophet? When I say in 1,000 years from now it's going to be a pink rain between 2 and 3 in the afternoon. Between 2 and 3 in the afternoon it's going to be pink rain. Not clear water, pink, like blood falling from heaven. Now we wait for that time. If it happened, that means I'm a true prophet. If not, it's baloney. I was never giving any prophecies. And just to conclude this introduction, if you search in the Quran or in the New Testament, you will never ever find any prophecy or anything similar to prophecy. Not even one. Not here and not here. Nothing. Nothing whatsoever. The Christian church, 200 years after the New Testament started, one of their cardinals, he wrote a book that the Jews will never return to the Holy Land. Why? God is upset at them. He destroyed the second temple. And therefore, he gave them 2 chances. They blew it, and they will never return to the Holy Land. When the Jews return to Israel, Started 120, 130 years ago, 1880. Many Jews started to come to Israel and established and returned back to our father's property. So they asked the Vatican, what do you have to say? Here, Jews are coming back to Israel. It's against what you always claimed. So the answer was, later, when Israel became a state, the Vatican does not recognize the state of Israel. What does it have to do with the prophecy? The prophecy is that nobody talks about the state of Israel. I can care less about the state. We're not talking about the state right now. We're talking about the fact that you have 6 or 5 or 2 million Jews living there right now, and you say that it will never happen. And here you go, it did happen. So let's continue. So now we're starting today. We are in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, and the Gemara says like this: Amar Rabbi Yochanan, in the day of Rosh Hashanah, which is the Judgment Day. We all know Rosh Hashanah is the Judgment Day. 3 books are opening. 3 books. It's God has 3 different books. Of course, we are only talking about spiritual things here. One book is the book of all the righteous people. Another book is the book of all the wicked people. And another book is average, mediocre, people that are half and half. Half wicked, half righteous. Then the Gemara says, the righteous people are signed immediately for life. The wicked people are signed immediately for death. And the half and half people, they are pending until Yom Kippur. When is it? 10 days after Rosh Hashanah. We have the 10 days of repentance. Comes Yom Kippur, and the final stamp of God is in the file of every person, either to life or to death. Of course, everybody asks the famous question, what is the Torah speaking about? We see millions of wicked people. Rosh Hashanah was just, let's say, 3 days ago, 2 weeks ago. Yom Kippur is over. The wicked people drive their Mercedes, smoking their drugs, on the way to rob another bank, on the way to rape or to murder. No life, no death. See people with beard and yarmulkes and learning Torah, dying, accident. We see everything is a mess. What is the Torah speaking about? Now you have to understand, when they wrote it, this is 1300 years after it was given in Mount Sinai. Right? The Talmud was written, it started the process 2,000 years ago, it finished 1,600 years ago. 2 of the rabbis in Babylon, Ravina and Rav Rashi, concluded the Talmud 1,600 years ago. It's a period of 400 years of learning, going back and forth, concluding all the material and writing it in the Talmud. So the question is, my computer went crazy, shuts off, I don't know what happened, but so the idea over there is that when the rabbi wrote it, obviously they knew what we know, no? They knew that this wicked person, last Rosh Hashanah, is still around. That wicked person is still around. That righteous person died. He did not make it. So what's going on? So obviously they're not talking about what we think. They're not talking about life and death here. Life and death the dogs also have here. That's nothing. Every time, and you can go to my CD that I made, Preparation for Eternal Life, every time the Torah speaks about life is always life of eternity. The soul is divine. The soul can never die. The soul of a person is only visiting in this world in a body, and then it will be pulled out of the body, either will be reincarnated in another body or stay there. It can go to the positive side, it can go to the negative side. The Torah says like this, today it's Rosh Hashanah, right away God reviews your last year. If, according to your good deeds of last year, if you would be dead today, that means you left the world and your trial, after death we all have 1 year trial. That's why we say Kaddish for 1 year on the deceased people. So the idea is like this. If we would have to die today, and we go up to the court of heaven after finishing our life, what verdict God will sign for us? Life of eternity, or God forbid, destroy us from entering the place where we call the next world, Olam Haba? What would be with us? Righteous people are signed immediately for life. Okay, that last year was a success for you. So up to now you're in a good condition. It doesn't mean you're not going to blow it in another 6 months. You're going to murder somebody, you may lose it. You become a Mechalel Shabbos, you may lose it. You become a thief, you have a problem. As of now, right now, you are okay. Some people, if they die today, let's say for instance they're not observing the Sabbath, right? These kind of people, if they die today, they have no share to the world to come. As the Gemara says in more than 50 different places. Most of that in Masechet Sanhedrin, speaking about executions and punishments. We're going to reveal some of it. The Gemara says, En lo chelek la'olam haba. He lost his share to the world to come. But we have to know one thing. Every Jew, as soon as he's born to a Jewish mother, even if his father wasn't Jewish, once his mother is Jewish, automatically he is born with a ticket to life of eternity. But this ticket has conditions. It's not automatic. You have to sweat a lot to materialize what you have in your hand. You don't just take it, oh, my mother was Miriam or Rachel, I'm lucky. No problem, I can do whatever I want and I go to heaven. It doesn't work that way. The opposite. The list is difficult. And reality shows that most Jews fail. They don't fulfill their obligation. Most of the Jews in the world today, they're not observing the covenant. They don't keep the Sabbath. Some of them make all kinds of sins. Some of them do horrible things. You know, there's no end to what you see out there. These kind of people, as of now, if Rosh Hashanah was yesterday, for sure they were signed to death. What's the question? But since the test is not over yet, everything can be corrected yet. It's not too late. As long as we breathe, we can still change our fortune. Once the soul exits the body, that's it. Nobody can help us anymore. It's over. You can come, you can cry, you can beg over there, give me another chance. Most likely it won't happen. But, once in a blue moon, let's say, once every 1 million people that died gets permission to return back to life. That's what we call clinical death. Out-of-body experience. 3 minutes, he is dead. No pulse, no brain waves, no reaction. You can burn him with a cigarette. He's dead already 10 minutes. And then 10 minutes later, he comes back to life, and he begins to complain, oh, who burned me? I'm suffering. Where were you 10 minutes? The soul wasn't in the body. These people got permission to return back to life for whatever reason. Why is it? We have a rule that we have to know very well. Every rule always have an exception to the rule. There's always an exception to the rule. Rule doesn't mean it's 100% rule. Every rule is subject to have here and there an exception things. Why is it? Why God made the world that no rule is 100% certain? It's going to be 99.9, but never 100%. Why? Because what comes out of the rule indicates about the rule. Which means if all people see, none of them is blind, nobody would ever appreciate his vision. We take it for granted. When a person becomes to appreciate his eyes, when you see one blind person on the street, he doesn't know where to go, he doesn't know where the street is, he's confused, he's going around, he's begging people to help him to cross the street. So when something like this happens, oh, what do you think right away? Oh, how lucky I am. Imagine if I would be like this, I cannot see anything. What kind of life would I have? So that automatically makes everybody understand how lucky they are to have eyes. Same thing hands, same thing legs, and everything else. Same thing here. Most people who dies, they're not returning. But once every millions of people who die, they get permission to return here. And their test is not over yet. And, we have few famous cases, some of these people who made a tape. If you know my Life After Life lecture, not necessarily only Jews, some of the Goyim died and also returned back to life. And they all describe exactly the same thing. Once the soul exits the body, they describe the same journey that the soul went from one step to another. All of them, it's the same elements, one after the other. Okay, my computer is back. So the Gemara says, right now, everything is signed for us. the living that we're going to make. There was only a month ago, Rosh Hashanah. That's it. So the whole year is already determined if we're going to get married or not. If we're going to have children or not. We're going to be sick or not. Even if we're going to be sick, are we going to get out of it or not? Everything that we have in our life was determined in the beginning of the year based on the last year. Now the Gemara continues. The Gemara says like this. 3 different groups to the judgment day. Complete righteous, complete wicked, and mediocres. And then the Gemara continues. The Gemara says like this. Posh'ei Israel begufam, the criminals of the nation of Israel, the criminal of the nation of Israel. That's the expression. No? Who are they? And the criminals of the Gentiles. It's 2 different kinds of criminals. When a Gentile becomes a criminal? When he violates one of the 7 laws that God gave him. 7 laws only. If he violates those rules, he becomes a wicked goy. When a Jew becomes a criminal, when he does some of the things, the goy can do the same things, but for the goy it's not a crime. For the Jew it's a crime. The goy is listening to God, and the Jew is not listening to God. Even though the Jew does a lot more than the goy, because he has so many things to do, the fact that there are a few things that he knows he has to do and he ignores it or does the opposite makes him a criminal. When yet his friend Chris can do it without a problem and he's a righteous goy. The Gemara gives an example. The criminals of the Jews and the criminals of the Goyim, they are going to a place where we call hell, Gehenom. All 3 religions believe in hell. They follow it because they learn it in the Torah. The idea of heaven and hell. Because the Torah is 1300 years before the Christianity started and 1800 years before Islam. So it was already a well-known thing that the Jews are saying there's heaven and hell. And it's 100% real. And the Gemara continue. After 12 months, their body is completely destroyed. Which body they talking about? The body was buried in a grave. What body they talking about? The Torah says, a wicked person who dies, after his trial and everything, what happened to his body? The body is destroyed. After he got burned, nothing left. It became ashes. Which body? The body went to the grave. Only the soul went up to the court of heaven. So the answer is, when the soul goes up to the court of heaven, it receives a new body. Not a physical body like here. The body here has an image, right? Blue eyes, green eyes, brown eyes, dark hair. Everyone has his DNA, right? And the body here is physical. Here, you feel it's physics. This body will be eaten by the worms and the snakes, of course. Nobody is talking about this body, Which body we are talking about? This body called Chaluka de Rabbanan, special kilt that they make the soul wear. It looks exactly like we look here. So if your eyes are this color, over there, your body, the new body you're going to receive, is going to be exactly the same image. There's only one difference. If you're going to come and try to grab a person's face over there, you will go on empty. There's nothing to catch. There's no material. It's all spiritual over there. But the soul, this divine energy, is being put inside this special cover that we call Chaluka de Rabbanan. And that's why many of the people who died and returned back to life, they describe their relatives who passed away exactly as they look. How did they recognize them? They look exactly like they were here. Same eyes, same hair, same face, same everything. As a matter of fact, there was one non-Jewish boy that died. He was maybe 4 or 5 years old, something like that. He died and came back to life after a few minutes. When he came back to life, his parents were very excited. Baruch Hashem is back. So the first thing he told them, why didn't you tell me that I had a sister? I didn't know I have a sister. So they said, how do you know your sister? So you never told me. She died before I was born. I met her over there and she told me I'm your sister. And they started to cry. She died before he was born, but they didn't want to upset him. So they hide that from him, that you had a sister who died. They never told him. But he went up there, this little boy, he found out that he had a sister. So she's somewhere waiting for him. And he described her how she looks, and obviously they saw it's real. It's one of many cases. There's many famous cases like this. The Zohar says that the people who die, they see all the relatives and friends who passed away around them, like flying in circles all around them. They see them. And they recognize them because they have the same image like here. The Zohar is 2,000 years ago, the Kabbalah. Today, we find it from all the parapsychologists. They have their research, they investigate people who died, and they all see that they all describe their relatives exactly like the Torah says. So then the Gemara says, once this body become ashes, what happened to these ashes? It flies to the side of heaven. From hell, it flies like a wind, takes all the ashes to the side of Garden of Eden, what we call Gan Eden. Heaven. What is it? It comes under the legs of all the righteous people. All the time they see ashes on the floor, is flying. That's what they see all the time. To remind them what you could have become if you would be wicked. Look what you got saved from. No? Now the question that you have, if the body over there is not spiritual, is not physical, how do you feel pain? What's to burn? Can you burn an energy? Can you burn something spiritual? If I take a soul and put it inside a fire in this room, let's say a soul is coming here, soul is flying in the air, and it goes into the fire. The person get burned? Nothing. Nope, nothing whatsoever. So what is it? What's that? That's called, this is like illustration. What is it? It's like, I once gave an example in the Air Force, in the Israeli Air Force, in the American Air Force, they have something that's called simulator. When the pilot learns to fly, 2 years before he even gets in a plane, every day he goes a few hours in this simulator. Simulator is like a machine, looks like a room, and he sits in everything with his helmet, everything looks the same. And he sees that he's flying very fast, he has G-force, he sweats, he vomits. Every time he moves the stick, this whole thing, from the outside, you see this whole thing is moving like this, going up and down. He feels like he's flying up and down, and he see missiles are coming, and he see planes are crashing, much like simulator, but 3 dimension. When the pilots comes out of there, you can hardly walk. I was in the Air Force, I saw it in my own eyes. They come right away, give me a cigarette. I need to sit and relax. 10-15 minutes, he sits, he cannot move. He's sweating. You see the lines of the helmet all over his face. It's like somebody cut him with a knife. So much pressure. In reality, it was only in that room. It was not real. Same thing, a dream. What's the longest dream? 9 seconds. That's it. The longest dream, 9 seconds. Sometimes a person goes to sleep, 11 o'clock at night. Before he started to snore, he gets up and begins to cry and scream. So his wife says, what happened? Isaac, what happened? What happened? He says, wow, you don't want to know what a horrible dream I had. Now he begins to describe 6 months of tortures. The Arab took me, they put a bag on my head, they kidnapped me, they put me by the Hamas over there under the ground, they're beating me up all day, they broke my teeth, look, I'm all bleeding, and this Arab was brainwashing me, and this. So she said, well, you just described me a story that took 6 months, but in reality you were sleeping 2 minutes. He went to sleep 11 o'clock. Now it's 11:02. How in 2 minutes you're describing 6 months of suffering with conversations and dialogues, and Ahmad and Mustafa and Saeed, all of them came to see you. How did it happen in 2 minutes? The answer is, over there's no time like here. It's all a simulation, it's simulator. It's like when a person goes to sleep, in 9 seconds, if God wants him to have 1,000,000 years of suffering, it goes in 9 seconds. You cannot measure it like you measure it here. That's why you have full conversations that over here will take a whole day. Over there it takes 1 second, not even. You see, it's all spiritual. You don't need. Same thing, all the pain, all the happiness, all the frustration, all the disappointment, all the worrying, and all these things that we have, it's all in the soul. It's not in a body. What's the proof? When a person's soul came out, he was dead, right? 10 minutes is dead. No pulse, no feelings, no nothing. You burn him with a cigarette 100 times, he doesn't make a beep. When he's going to scream for this burning, when the soul enters back into the body. Oh, now the soul begins to feel the pain. Why? He got connected to the nerve system. So now he feels the pain. No soul, no pain. You understand? Once the soul unites again back with the physical body, the pain begins. The soul goes out, you don't feel. Somebody choke a person to death. I know a guy, when he was a teenage, 15, 16, he had a few Italian friends in Brooklyn. He's a Jew and they are not Jewish. So his name is Ronnie. Today he made Aliyah. He's in Israel already. One time he said in one of the lectures how he died and came back to life. What happened is he had few goyim friends. You know, they play basketball. So he had this pair of sneakers and he tied them together with the shoelaces together and he hung them on his shoulder. And then, you know, they're playing, they have few girl friends, you know, the whole gang in the neighborhood. One of these goyim took these shoes. They were all joking around. Not really, he didn't mean to kill him, but he was choking him from behind with his shoelaces and pulling him. Within 20, 30 seconds, up, he fell and he died. And then he saw everyone screaming, no, call 911. This is in the days that you didn't have cell phone. They had to go to the payphone and call 911. So then he came back to life. He started to say what he saw and everything. But he said the pain was not even 20 seconds. That you choke, you cannot breathe, you feel your head hurts and your eyes are burning and all this. Oh, all of a sudden, silent. No pain, no feelings anymore. You're flying above everyone. You see your body can go on fire. Your body can be butchered to pieces, but you don't feel anything. When are you going to feel? When you enter back into the body. So the Gemara says, who are the one who lose their share completely, that they have no way out? Most of the people, hell purify the soul. Eventually it's over, the punishment, and they go to heaven based on how many good deeds they did. Which are the people who lose it for eternity? That's it, no correction anymore. The damage, it's permanent. Which one? Which one? He gives a list. One of them, Apikorsim. What's Apikors? He used to be a Greek philosopher. Everything the Torah says, he says the opposite. So because his name was Apikor or Apiker, something like that in Greek, so they made an expression after his name. What's Apikorsim? Someone who's wicked and his philosophy is rotten, it's all against God. They call him in Hebrew today Apikors, but it's a Greek word. But there was also a Jew that was like that. A bad Jewish philosopher, his name was Tzadok. So all his followers, they called Tzdukim. There's a list of negative names. Baitusim, Tzdukim, Apikorsim. All these people lose everything. Shekafru b'Torah, they contradict the Torah, they make fun, they fight against the Torah, against the logic of the Torah, against the religion. Kafru b'tchiyat hametim, they say, you believe there's going to be resurrection of the dead, you fool, what do you believe in it? All kinds of things like this. Shenatnu chitatam be'eretz hachaim, we're going to explain that soon. V'shechat'u v'ichtiu acherim, they make sins for themselves, but they influence other people to make sins as well. Which means it wasn't enough for him to make sins. He convinced all his friends, what are you going to learn Torah now? Come, there's a party here, let's go over there, it's more exciting. Slowly they got them off the religion. And obviously from now on, every sin that these people do, it's their fault. So they have to get judged on every one of these sins. They are a partner to the crime. Therefore, there is no end to their sins. Because no matter how much they're going to make repentance on their own sins, they have no control on the people that they spoil. There's no control. So they give an example of Yerovam ben Nevat v'chaverav. They give a king of Israel, which was a genius in Torah and was wicked because of his ego. What's destroyed him? The worst thing that a person can have, ego, pride. And in the end, he lost his share to the world to come. ויורדים לגיהנם ונידונים בה לדורי דורות. They go to hell and stay there for generations and generations forever. לעולם, לעד ולעולמי עולמים. They never come out of there. No exit out of there, no correction. Just stay there forever. Forever, you understand what does it mean forever? Anybody understand what's the meaning of the word forever? You take 1 trillion years, there's not even the beginning of forever. There's no end to it. It's hard to understand what's going on here. So the punishment of a wicked person is horrible. If a person has a little bit brain in his head and is clever a little bit, for few sins that we may do here and there, this is, God forbid, could be our category. God forbid. Ignorance is very dangerous. So, Gehenom Kale, the Gemara say, when hell will be over, their judgment will still go on. This is an expression just to describe to you what's going on here. And why? Why is it so bad? Why is it so bad? Because everything that they did is called Chilul Hashem. They disgrace the name of God by their behaving and their way they act every day, that it brought embarrassment to the creator of the world, to the great God, because of that, and they ignore all the warnings and everything. Now, we are not talking about people who did not know any Torah. They grew up somewhere in Siberia. There was no Judaism over there, no yeshiva, no rabbis. One Jew lives in a kibbutz, one Jew is in India, one Jew is in the end of Canada over there in a mountain of the ice. They have no idea what's going on. We're not talking people like this. People like this, they have a special judgment based on their ability. You only get judged for something that you are guilty of. Something that wasn't in your hand, you're not going to be punished for. I'll give you an example. You know, the Egyptians, they tortured Jews in Egypt for 210 years. 210 years. Slavery, as the Torah described. In the end, all the Egyptians suffer from God's punishment except one. Who did not get killed in the end, even though he was the firstborn? Pharaoh himself. The one who brought all the tragedies to Egypt. He didn't get killed. All his army drowned. He was the head of the army. He say he put his horse and his carriage. He was going and he screamed, "After me!" And all his army were following him. Everyone drowned. Thousands of Egyptian soldiers with the horse, everything. And he got saved. What's going on? Why is it? Because if you read few verses before that, what does it say? It's that God told Moshe, "I'm sending you to Pharaoh to take my nation out of Egypt. But don't panic, because Pharaoh is not going to listen to you. Because I am tightening his heart. Hardening his heart. I make him stubborn. Which means I eliminate his free choice. He doesn't have a regular choice like a person has pork and beef. He can choose this, he can choose that, and based on that he will get his reward or punishment, because it's 100% free choice. At one point, I already interfere with his choice because I want to show my glory and my hand to all the nations in the world for history, to see the greatness of God. Therefore, I have to make him an actor in my plan. He is a part of my plan. I have to take away his free choice. That's why he didn't get killed. All the other one, they choose to go fight. They could have said, "Leave me alone, I don't want to go fight against the Jews. They brought us already too much problems. What do you want? You want to put me in jail? Put me in jail. Here, I surrender. I refuse." They tell you, go kill, like the Nazis used to say. We couldn't do anything. Hitler told us to do. We had no choice. What kind of nonsense is that? You didn't have a choice. They tell you to go murder innocent children and women, and you say, "I didn't have a choice." You say, "Put me in jail. Make yourself sick. Run, hide in a mountain, in a cave." What does it mean? Same thing, the Prime Minister of Israel, Rabin, when he was a young man, he was the head of the army before Israel became a state. And one time there's a big boat coming from Europe with hundreds of Jews after the Holocaust. They're starving to death. Months, they're like sardines in a boat that's shaking, coming over there. They finally arrived to Israel when the British were in control. So the militants, the Israeli militants that were trying to establish a state, didn't want to get into an argument with the British. So, they try to keep it quiet. When all of a sudden so many Jews arrived, so they didn't know what to do. If they help them to come in, they may get caught. So they try to prove to the British that they're loyal. They're not cooperating with all these immigrants. So Rabin was the commander in charge of the army on the beach. They were standing, waiting for them to come, that they don't let them off the boat. They want to send them to Cyprus. So he was standing over there. And who was the prime minister? Ben Gurion, the first prime minister, before Israel became a state. He is the one who announced, declaring the beginning of the state of Israel, as you can see in a black and white film. So he was the prime minister, so they asked him what to do with them. He said, no matter what, you don't let them in. So they say, the soldiers, but this is our brothers and sisters, it's not for strangers that come into... We all came here one way or the other like they came. What are we going to do with them? So he said, open fire, shoot. So Rabin screamed, fire! So they shoot, they killed 16 of them. They started to shoot on their own brothers and sisters, they killed 16 of them. And of course the end was that they didn't let them in because they saw that this is serious business, and they sent them away. Later, he became the ambassador of Israel in the United States. And then he wrote a book. Many years ago, I was a fool. I still have time to read nonsense book. And I read his book. In his book, they show an interview that he had with one of the reporters, a famous reporter on television. So the reporter asked him, what went through your mind when the old man was the expression of Ben Gurion. They call him Hazaken, the old man. That was his expression, his nickname. When the old man gave the order to open fire of these innocent women and children, what went through your mind? So he said, nothing. I received the order and I fulfilled his order. So he asked him, do you have any regret for it? He said, no. A soldier has to obey the rules, has to follow the orders, much like a Nazi. What was his end? A Jew murdered him. Until this day, every time they ask him, do you regret that you killed him? He smiled to the camera, I wish I would kill the other one also. He never said that he's regretting.
That's why he was assassinated?
No, well, of course, it's all measure for measure. His murderer saying to the media until this day, after 15 years that he's in prison in an isolated room. They don't give him access to any one of the prisoners. He's locked in a room. Every time they interview him or they went to court to appeal his condition, they ask him, Igal Amir, do you regret what you did after all the tortures that they torturing him? He said, absolutely not. Recently he stopped smiling, but for years he was smiling to the camera, getting everyone crazy, because they go crazy. You killed the Prime Minister of Israel when he was the Prime Minister. Oh, that's besides the point. So, let's see, the Gemara now describe who is a wicked Jew and who is a wicked Goy. Let's see. פושעי ישראל בגופם, מה הנינו? Who are they? Who are the criminals of Israel? אמר רב, קרקפתא דלא מנח תפילין. A Jew that doesn't put everyday tefillin on his arm towards the heart and on his brain. Right away he goes into that category who call פושעי ישראל בגופם. No? Then the Gemara say, פושעי גויים בגופם. Who is a criminal goy? A Gentile that is criminal in the eyes of God. אמר רב, בעבירה. And the 7 laws that God gave them, and they're not fulfilling it. And the Gemara asks, ונתנו חיטתם בארץ החיים. It's hard to understand. What does it mean, חיטתם? So the Gemara says, זה פרנס המטיל אימה יתרה על הציבור שלו לשם שמיים. Translation, a person that got a position that is in charge of a group, of a community, like a prime minister, a chief rabbi, a chief judge, a head of the army, etc., etc., or the head in court, or is in city hall. You know, people need his signature, and right away he used his position to torture people, to give them hard time, because he feel like, oh, I'm the king, they all need me. It's called Parnas Amitil Ema. He makes the people suffer, but not because he wants them to be closer to God, to be righteous. No, for that is good. If that's what he turns them into, to righteous people, no, very good. You can be tough. All he does is for himself. For himself. That they bribe him, that they bow down to him, that they send him gifts, that they, that when they look at him, they, So this is it. That's called Parnas Ametil Ema Yetera Shelo L'Shem Shamayim. Somebody like that gets another punishment. He will never have a boy that is a Talmid Chacham. All his children will not be anything successful. They won't have any achievement in learning, nothing whatsoever. Why? Because of that. No. The Gemara says, Amar Rava kol ha'ma'avir al midotav ma'avirim lo kol psha'av. There is a rule by God. If you judge people favorably, you're not always to the negative side. You say, maybe we don't understand what happened here. I don't believe he's wicked. Something probably happened. You didn't get the story. You always see positive in people and always try not to speak gossip about them and rule them to bed or like one time they took a person and they caught him with a candy camera. He was in a board. And the candy camera was filming him making scenes in hidden rooms. And they didn't know that they're following him for months already. They document everything that he did on video. One time they made a committee, all the committee got together, and they said, we caught one criminal that this is what he does and this and this and this. They describe all the crimes that this guy is doing. He doesn't know, he has no idea they're talking about him because nobody ever saw him. In those days, candy camera was once in a blue moon you hear about it. It wasn't a common thing. So they asked each one of the people, what do you think the punishment or the penalty that we should get to this guy? So everyone say we should take him out of his office for 3 years. We should force him to resign. We should give him $100,000 penalty. Whatever. Everyone made a normal punishment. When they got to him, he said, you have to do this to him. You report him to the police. You put him in prison. You take away his home. He started to come with a worse punishment. And they say, okay, you're done? You say, yes, that's what you have to do. What is this? Gotta be tough. So they say, hold on 1 second. They play the video. And you see himself doing all these things. We were talking about you for the last hour. We're going to do to you what you suggested. If he was a smart person, you say, give him another chance. You fool. You know, you do the same thing. Okay, they're talking about somebody else. But you in your heart, in your head, you know, I'm worse than this guy that they're describing it. So how do you come and give the worst punishment? Because knowing the truth is one thing. Living by the truth is a completely different story. I once told the story that the Greeks, they made sport. All the sports you have today, what's the source of the sport? Sparta. The Greeks, they had a city called Sparta. They made stadiums. And they started to make people fight with animals, like a man against a lion, a man against a bird. Then later they took prisoners. They made them fight. One has to kill the other. The one who get killed. The other one gets another year of life. And they sell tickets. Very good business. That's where you have boxing from. This whole thing comes from them. They started everything. So what's the story with them? So one time there was a competition between the people of the city of Sparta to Atuna, Athens. Sparta against Athens, they have a big game. So one old man with his cane is coming to the stadium. He's a supporter of, he's a fan of Sparta. So he comes to the side where all the Sparta fans are sitting. So he's looking for one place to sit. It's packed, no chairs. Nobody rise to give him his place, even though he's 8 years old. All the young people, they sit, they cheer. They don't care about him. So he went to the other side of the stadium where all the people of Athens are sitting. So over there, one guy got up and said, hey, old grandpa, come here, have my seat. So he came, he called him, and he told him, sit here. So all the people of Sparta, they rise and they were clapping for this great thing that he did. So the question is, You have 5,000, 10,000 people over there. Not one of them wanted to give him his chair. But when the other one gave him the chair, they were clapping. They were impressed. Wow, look at this. So why didn't you do it? Knowing it's the truth is one thing. Overcoming your evil inclination, your negative traits, your horrible personality, that's another story. That's where the Torah comes. The Torah gives you a serious push. When you see, if you're a very proud person, learning Torah 1 week, you see that you dust in the wind. What are you? Nothing. You live here today, tomorrow maybe you won't be able to breathe. Who do you think you are? That's the bottom line. When you see how Hashem is looking at you. So the Gemara says, someone who forgive others, you insulted me, I forgive you. When the time comes, Hashem will be merciful with him. Measure for measure. You have mercy on people, I have mercy on you. Someone who is not going all the way to be cruel against people, even a judge. Hashem says, oh, now it's time to judge you. You had mercy on people, you deserve mercy here. All measure for measure. Then the Gemara says, we continue. The Gemara says like this. We always say in a prayer almost every day, especially in the time of Slichot, the Yag Midot, the 13 terms that symbolize Hashem. 13 words, that each one of them is a category by itself. We say Hashem, Hashem, El Rachum Vechanun, 13 different categories. The Gemara say, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, if we would not receive it in Mount Sinai, we would not have permission to say what I'm going to say. What he's going to say? He said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu show Moses an image that God is putting a talit, covering himself with a talit and tefillin, mamash like a holy person, and tell Moshe the order of the prayer. This is the right order to say it. When the nation of Israel making sins in front of me, once they're going to scream in these right orders, the 13 different words, right away I will automatically have big mercy on them. If they make repentance, I'm going to forgive their sins. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, we know in tradition is 100%, we know that every time a person say it, for sure it helps him. If not now, a year from now, if not now, 5 years from now, but for sure you're going to see that it helps you by saying this, what we say, and that's what we say. Everybody rise, and everybody say it together, and in Slichot, this is it. Now you know the source, why it's so important in a Jewish prayer. Then it says like this. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Gdolat Tshuva, repentance is an extraordinary thing. No? Why? Shemekarat gzar dino shel adam, is able to tear a verdict against a person completely. God forbid, a person had a horrible verdict. God signed on it, finished Yom Kippur. He made complete tshuva, moment before the angel of death took his soul out of this world. Everything is reversed. Oh, objection, don't touch him, bring me back the file. Like it never happened. Then it says like this. The Gemara say, is it possible such a thing after the verdict? You maybe mean before the verdict was reached. Before, guilty or not. Now you make repentance, you correct your bad ways, the judge dismissed most of the allegations against you. No, that makes sense. But after it was signed, you can still make repentance? The Gemara say yes. Even then, as long as you breathe, you can still correct. Even though it was completely signed and finished and concluded, you can still correct it. The Gemara says like this. What's special about the Holy Land? Why Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, it's so, you can see today that the whole world, their eyes is all the time in Israel. If you go on Google Map, I'll give you a nice prize if you can find Israel. You know, you cannot find Israel. It's so small that it's less than a dot. If you take a pencil and make it very, very sharp, and you touch the map, you're going to see something? It's going to be a very small dot, no? Right? It's so small that the arrow cannot locate it. But this place, compared to the entire globe, is the most important place. And Jerusalem is a dot inside the dot. It's the holiest city in the world. And the Holy Temple is a dot inside the dot inside the dot. It's the most important place in the world. And the Gemara, this is what the Torah says. Where is it? Deuteronomy 18. Dvarim, Yud Aleph. תמיד עיני השם אלוקיך בא מראשית השנה עד אחרית השנה. This is a country, this is a land that the eyes of your God is watching from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. What does it mean? God watched everything that we ever did in history, in every place in the world, and outside of this star, everything is being supervised 100%. So what is so special that the eyes of your God is in this special holy land? That means everything that applies to this country is above nature. It's nothing to do with the rest of the world. For instance, everywhere in the world you have rain on and off. Nature brings you rain. In New York every week, 1 day rain. Every 2-3 weeks, 2-3 days rain. All the trees get what they need, finished. Everywhere. Europe, same thing. Summer, winter, rain all the time. Israel, the rains depend on the action of the people. When they make too many sins, stop, the rain stops. Hashem locked heaven, no more rain. Where will we see it? We say it in Shema Yisrael every day. V'atzar et hashamayim ve'lo yeh matar. Hashem stopped heaven from giving water. There will not be rains. What comes right after that? Va'avaltem mehera me'al haaretz. And you're going to be destroyed from the face of the earth. Why? You don't have water, you don't have vegetables, you don't have flour, you don't have wheat, you don't have what to eat, you die. End of story. Anywhere else, in the world, rain on and off, doesn't matter. You're righteous, you're wicked, it's nature. Over there, different story. Same thing to make a living. Same thing, everything. The mitzvot, the commandments of a Jew in Eretz Israel is a lot greater than here. But also the sins. When a person asks, Rabbi, what should I do? Should I make an aliyah and go to move in Israel? Or I should stay here in New York? Depends who he is. If it's a person who learns Torah all day, is doing mitzvot, and is very strong, of course, it's better off being there. He gets a lot more reward. But if he's a person who's doing so many sins, and keeping some good mitzvot, but making so many sins, you better stay here. Why? The value of your sins is not as bad here than it's over there. So, before we finish, we don't have that much time left. It says like this. Bluria Agioret, one Goya, one woman that became a convert, non-Jew that became a Jew. She came to Rabban Gamliel. Who was Rabban Gamliel? The chief rabbi, the president of Israel. When 2,100 years ago. This is what happened. She says to him, it says in the Torah, Asher lo yisa panim velo yikach shochad. God is the fair judge that will never prefer one from the other, right? And will never receive any bribe. Then, what does it say? This, where is it? Deuteronomy 10. Dvarim 10, Yud. And another place in the Torah, supposedly there's a contradiction. What's the contradiction? In Bamidbar, it says like this. Bamidbar Vav, it says, Isa Hashem panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Birkat Kohanim. What's the Kohanim say every day? That Hashem will prefer the Jews from all the nations. And one place it says that the fair judge looks at everyone equal. Right? If two people come to you to a trial, you like the beauty of this one and you don't like the other one, you cannot let it affect your judgment. You know? Or one is rich and one is poor, so you have mercy on the poor. It doesn't work that way. You have to look for the justice. So he says to her, it says like this. So there was a person over there, his name was Rabbi Yossi HaKohen. It's a big rabbi, which was also a Kohen. He was making this bracha every day. So he says to her, I'll tell you what it's like. A person that owes his friend 100 coins, let's say $100, right? And he told him, I'm giving you this loan in one condition, that in 30 days from now you're paying it to me in front of the king. The king is the witness, I'm giving you the loan. In 30 days, I want you to swear in the life of the king that you're going to pay me in his office in 30 days from now. You want the money? This is the condition. The time arrived, and he did not pay. He came to the king, and he said, Your Majesty, forgive me. I know I swore on your life and your glory, and I didn't pay. Please forgive me. So the king said, okay, I will forgive you, in condition that your friend will forgive you. First you have to go pay him, make an arrangement with him, and then I will forgive you. It says over here the same thing. כאן בעבירות שבין אדם לחברו, כאן בין עבירות בין אדם למקום. There's a difference between sins that people do one to another, and there's a difference between sins that people do between them and God. You understand? Once it's between two individuals, of course, he looks at them fairly. He's 100% and he's 100%. Now I have to judge between them who deserve what. But between you and me, you are my children. A person loves his children. He cannot love other kids like he loves his children. Then there's no difference. Come Rabbi Akiva and say, there's another explanation here. One before the judgment was signed, one after. Before is one rule, after it's another rule. The Gemara says like this. One time, the Romans, and you know the Romans took control in Israel, and they said like this. No Jews are allowed to learn Torah anymore from this moment on. Now they're sitting in Jerusalem, okay? No Jews are allowed to circumcise their babies. And no Jews are allowed to observe the Sabbath. Why they cared about the Torah, Shabbat, and the circumcision? Because if a Jew becomes a Mechalel Shabbat, he loses Judaism. Mechalel Shabbat, הרי הוא כגוי לכל דבר. So הלכה in Shulchan Aruch in 7 different chapters. Once a Jew becomes a non-shomer Shabbat, he cut himself out of Judaism. Even temporarily, if he did it only 3 weeks, for 3 weeks, he's on hold, on pending. His status is pending. You don't belong. You want to join back, the covenant has to apply to you. You want to keep it, fine. You don't want to keep it, you're out. So they knew it. Right away, they made a decree about Shabbat. 1 or 2 generations, the Jews will forget about Shabbat. Everyone become goyim. No difference. Baruch Hashem, they work on Sabbath, no problem. Circumcision, the same thing. What makes a difference between a Jew and a goy? The circumcision. You force them 1 or 2 generations not to make circumcision, they forget about it. No, we're all equal.
And the Arabs, Jews also.
Arabs make circumcision when they're 13. It's different kind of circumcision. What?
It's the circumcision.
Yeah?
It makes a Jew the Arab.
No. The circumcision in the 8th day, it's called Milah upri'ah. There are 2 transactions. If you do it in the right way, yes. You do it in the right way. And Torah, what is the Jew worth without the Torah? Well, how is he going to be able to keep any mitzvah? He doesn't know anything. Oh, so you make him a goy, no problem. So they made those. So Rabbi Yehuda ben Shammua and his friends, the rabbis, they didn't know what to do. So they went to one important lady. Matronita achat shel chol gdolei Romi metzuim etzla. There was a fancy lady, very famous, that all the Caesars and the commanders of the Roman army coming to her palace and sitting by her. I don't know what was her status, but she's a very important, either a politician or public figure. So they went to her and they demonstrated in front of her house, because they knew all the Romans are sitting there. The ones who make the decrees, they are sitting all there. So they said like this. She said to them, okay, if you want to demonstrate, don't come during the day. Why are you coming now in a day? Come tonight. Come at night. So they came at night when all these people were sitting there. So they started to scream, Aren't we our brothers? To the Romans inside. The Jews screaming from outside, they want them to hear. Aren't we are the children of the same father? Aren't we are the same children, the children of the same mother? What are we different than all the other nations that you come here to torture us so much? So it worked. That day they came out, they touched their heart. So they came and said, okay, we're canceling all the decrees. Later, somebody else came and made the decrees, and he went and he made them right back. You know, we didn't have 1 year in history that we didn't have pogroms. Everywhere, Russia, pogroms, Poland, pogroms, Germany, pogroms, and then the Holocaust. In the Arab countries, pogroms, one after the other. Everywhere. In Israel, every day pogroms. Pogrom here, pogrom in Hebron, attacks here, shooting on this car, putting bombs, suicide bombers. It's small pogroms. So one time they had a pogrom in Russia, and one of the things the Goyim used to do, after they destroying whatever they destroy, they used to steal what's valuable. So if you come to a synagogue, what you can steal? You're going to steal the chairs? You're going to steal this? No, it's heavy, it doesn't worth a lot. So easy to steal tefillin. Tefillin, it's worth almost $1,000. It was always expensive, you know, it's a lot of work. So it's very easy. You grab the tefillin, it's like this size, maybe a pound. You steal it, and you go to a Jew on the street. Here, I want to sell you this tefillin. Now there's a problem. It's a very difficult question in halacha if you're allowed to buy from this goy that stole the tefillin from the synagogue, if you're allowed to buy it from him or not. If you buy it from him, he's going to say, wow, great business. 1, 2, 3, I take grab of it, give me $500, give me $500. Every day he's going to go and steal more. So what did you do by that? You buy one, he stole another one. You buy that one, he stole another one. It will never end. If you don't steal from him, if you don't buy from him, then he get tired of it, he put them in the garbage with all the holy names of God, throwing it in. He doesn't understand what's inside. For him, it's 2 black boxes. He doesn't understand the whole holiness in it. He puts it in the garbage or throw it to the lake. What is he going to do with that? So we as the children of God, we have to do everything to prevent such a thing. So they came, this rabbi, he walks in the street the night after the pogrom. They burned the synagogue, they stole whatever they stole in Russia. And then he comes to him and says, hey, you Jew, come here, come. I have something for you to buy. So he shows him the tefillin. He looks and sees on the tefillin the name of his best friend, Avraham ben Yitzchak. He recognized this pouch. So he knows, this is my best friend's tefillin. I have to save the tefillin. So he told him, how much you want? So he gave him such a price. It's horrible. He said, no, it's too much. He said, what do you mean? I found out that something like this cost $1,000. I tell you $700. What? So he told him, okay, let me see it. So he said, please God, give me an idea. How do I get it out of him without paying you $700? Because tomorrow he's going to steal another 10. So he opens it up. He sees there's the tefillin of the head, the tefillin of the hand. So he told him, what are you fooling me? So they go, he said, why? He said, there's one piece missing. You have one for the head, you have one for the left hand, the piece from the right hand you don't have. What is this? It's fooling me. You cannot use it. The orders of God has to be 100%. So that he doesn't know what tefillin is. It's the first time he stole tefillin. So, I'm sorry, I didn't know, so it's missing a piece, but it was only 2 inside. So, I don't know, something went wrong. I give you $5 for it. So, okay, give me the money, and he saved it for $5. You need the right advice, the right idea from Shamayim. So, now we finish with one last thing for today. 50 שערי בינה נבראו בעולם. There are 50 gates of wisdom that Hashem made. The Torah that we have is only one gate, one kind of wisdom. You have many different wisdoms, right? You have biology, you have math, you have physics, you have so many different wisdoms in the world. All those 50 different wisdoms were given to Moshe Rabbeinu in Mount Sinai, except one, which means 49. Why? Hashem didn't want Moshe to know 100% what God knows. So he gave him 99%. 49 different kinds of wisdom. שנאמר, ותחסרהו מעט מאלוקים. You made him a little bit less than God. That's speaking about Moses. ביקש קהלת להיות כמשה, later King Solomon, 300 years later, wanted God to give him the same wisdom like Moshe. How old was he when he became a king? King Solomon. King David passed away. His son Solomon became a king. How old was he? 12 years old. But don't wonder too much. 12 years old of 3,000 years ago is better than the prime minister today in his wisdom. So don't, 2 or 3 generations ago, kids in this age were very independent. And you know the famous story with King Solomon, that God came to him in a dream when he was 12, and he asked him, he said, I'm going to help you, you're the son of David. Ask me a wish. What do you want me to give you? So he didn't say, help me to win against my enemies, give me a lot of money, none of these things. What did he ask? Give me a wise intelligence, wisdom, to judge your people fairly. That since I'm the top authority in a court, I always want to make the right decision, not to deprive anyone, to be a fair judge. That's what he asked, 12 years old. Not help me against the enemies of my father, don't let me help do the revenge against this nation and against these people, none of these. So Hashem told him, since you ask me such a thing, I'm going to give you anything a person may dream about. Wealth, power. And he was the most legendary person in the world after Moshe. You have Moses and then King Solomon. Every guy in the world knows King Solomon is the smartest person ever lived. And then came the famous case with 2 women fighting on a baby. You know the famous case? One woman stole a baby from another woman in a hospital. Her baby died. She couldn't bear the agony, so she stole another baby. That reminds me something that happened in Bnei Brak in Israel. There's a big silver store. They sell Hanukkah menorah, silver, beautiful ones. One woman comes inside to the store a few years ago with a baby. She comes to a saleswoman over there. She tells her, I want the most expensive and the biggest menorah that you have. So she showed her a huge menorah, big, nice, fancy one, 50,000 shekel, $10,000, $11,000. So she said, wow, I like it. Give me just 1 minute. I want to show it to my husband. He's double parked here. Hold my baby for 1 minute. I'll be right back. Can I show it to my husband? He's double parked. Bnei Brak is very busy, like Manhattan over there. So she said, okay, go ahead. So she takes this big menorah. She goes outside. There's a car double parked. She pushes it into the car, up, and they leave. In the meantime, this saleswoman, 10 minutes with the baby, She, what's going on with her? How long it takes to see the menorah? She comes out to the street, no woman. The woman disappeared. No menorah. What did she see instead? A different woman standing in the street, screaming, fainting. They bringing her water. What? Someone stole my baby from the stroller. I left the baby here 30 seconds. I went quickly into the store. I put the stroller right by I couldn't enter it today. I guess there was a stair there or something. She came out, the baby disappeared. So the saleswoman comes out with the baby. She says, excuse me, is this your son? Yes. Where did you find him? She tells her the story now. So this cook saw a baby somewhere. She had this idea. She took him, she went in, she stole the menorah. Now the owner of the stores came back and he said to the saleswoman, I'm very sorry, it's your problem. You have to pay me 50,000 shekel. The poor woman, she works for $1,000 a month salary. Now she has to work a whole year just to pay for this damage. What do you think was the rule in the court?
It's his loss.
Let me ask you a question. If I wanted to throw something to my friend across the street and accidentally I broke somebody's windshield, I didn't mean, accidentally. I have to pay or no?
Yes.
Over here was an accident, right? It's not really our fault. When you rule it don't go by, if sometimes it's really not your fault, but we don't care always if it's your fault or not. We care what you are obligated. If I make a deal with a guy named Reuven, and he gives me something to use, and I sign that no matter what happened, I pay him. Even if it's not my fault, somebody came with a gun to my head, since I told him, no matter what happened, I'll pay you, we're not looking if I'm guilty or not. I took that responsibility upon myself, that's it. But over here, the case was dismissed. She didn't have to pay. Why? Because they asked the owner of the store, we're talking religious people, they told the owner of the store, tell the truth. If you were standing next to her when this woman came with the baby, and the woman handed her the baby and took the menorah for 1 minute, would you suspect that something here it's a robbery here? Or you would see that since she left the baby, she will return, no? Nobody ever think about such a thing. You would do the same thing. And that's how the case was dismissed. So anyway, so King Solomon, age 12, he had that dream, and Hashem gave him the wisdom, and then these 2 women came, they're fighting for the baby, he said, let's cut the baby by half. And the woman screamed, no, no, give it to her. And obviously, I'm always asking myself, what was with these 2 foolish ladies? The woman that was really the mother of the baby, did she really think that such righteous person will cut the baby by half? Nobody pays attention to that. Okay, no, so King Solomon, he found a brilliant way. He said, okay, let's cut the baby and give you half and half. No, you go to the worst king in the world today. You go to Imach Shimo Ahmadinejad, that planning to throw an atomic bomb on us soon. And you tell him, cut the baby by half. He's going to cut him by half? He'll be afraid of the media. Or cut him maybe under the ground somewhere, I don't know. But the idea is, what did she really think? Didn't she understand it's a trick here? That's something for you to think about until next week. How did it work, that plan? So, King Solomon say, God, you finally gave me this wisdom, but I also want to be like Moshe. All the 50 gates of wisdom, whatever you gave him, you give me. It says, God says to him, if I'm going to give you all his wisdom, I'm going to become a liar. And my Torah will not be real. Why? Why did I write in my Torah? Ve'lo kam naviot be'Yisrael keMoshe. There will never be a prophet in the nation of Israel like Moses. Never. If I'm going to make you like him, it's going to be a mistake in the Torah. So he said to Hashem, yeah, among the prophets, nobody can be like him. But among the kings, why not? It's not a lie in the Torah. The Melachim come. What was the end of the story? That is considered the smartest person ever live. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, someone who learned Torah and not teach to others, it's like Hadass. You know the Hadassim tree that we use in Sukkot that smell like paradise? It's like Hadass in the middle of the desert. What's the analogy here? If I go to the moon and I have $1 billion in my suitcase, the money over there has a value. It's even toilet paper worth more over there in the moon. What am I going to do with $1 billion? If I have 500 diamonds and I took them with me to the moon, as soon as I land in the moon and I'm stuck there, the diamonds lost their value. Maybe I'll make myself a tent with a pile of diamonds. There's nothing I can do with that. So the value of an object depends on where it is. That's what we said, the right thing in the right time. Everything in life, it's timing and location, right? If you buy a place, like my friend owned a building in Harlem, 125th Street. It used to be $4.4 million, the value of this building. He had 4 huge stores, they're paying him rent. One time he wanted to take a loan, they evaluate his building, $4.4 million. The next day, they said on the news that Bill Clinton wants to move to Harlem. He made himself an office. Where is it? Right across the street from my friend. The building went up to $15 million. You got it? Okay, now, 2 years ago, they wanted to open a Walmart in the center of Muncie. The biggest Walmart in America. That day that they announce it, all the value of the property in Muncie officially went down 50%. Why? It's going to be a zoo. 10,000 people a day driving in the middle of a small town. You forget it. Nobody wants to live there. You want to get home, take you 3 hours just to drive 5 laps. The Jews went to fight against Walmart. Nobody ever won any court case in the history of this company, Walmart, anywhere in the world. They won all the legal battles against all people who ever sued them and fought against them, not to open here, to move there. They always win. The government is in their pockets, the biggest company in the world. Baruch Hashem, with God's help, they convinced them, and after all the investment that they made, they dropped the case, and we are able to breathe. So it's all location, timing. Same thing here. You know Torah and you don't teach Torah. What is it like? Having perfume in the middle of the desert. This is it. And okay, I think now it's something new starting, and I don't want to start it because it's going to take a long time. I'll just give you a preview of next week, what we're going to talk about next week. We're going to explain the secret why we say in Birkat HaLevana, David Melech Israel Chai V'Kayam. What's the connection? We say David, the king of Israel, is alive and exists. What's the connection to the moon, to the renewal of the moon? And we're going to speak about Samson and Samuel, some of these legendary names, things that happened to them. And we're going to speak about the first temple and the second temple. The first temple that was 410 years, the second temple 420 years, and the first temple was only 18 Kohanim, 18 Kohen Gadol in 410 years, 18 altogether, they served. The second temple was 420 years, there were more than 300 Kohanim. To show you the drop in the righteousness of the Kohanim from the first temple to the second temple, that each Kohen in the second temple did not finish a cycle of 1 year. Now, if you take few of them out, for instance, you had Shimon HaTzadik. Shimon HaTzadik was 40 years. So take 40 years out of the 420, you have 380. And then Yochanan Kohen Gadol was 80 years. Take another 80, you have 300 left. Rabbi Elazar ben Charsom was 11 years. So now you have 289. Now 289 divided by 300, each one of them was less than a year. Besides those 4 righteous people, all the other Kohanim, they not deserve the job that God gave them. They did not deserve it. They did not fulfill their obligation. Then, a few other things that we're going to speak next week. If somebody suspects kosher people, what's his punishment? You come, you decide that this one is guilty. That's it. You come to your wife, you say, I know he's guilty 100%, and in the end he's innocent. What's going to be the punishment? Then we're going to speak about the 10 miracles that used to take place every day in the temple. 5 differences between the first temple to the other. The story of King Saul and the influence of the sins on the soul of a person. Bezrat Hashem, maybe we have time for more things. Any questions before we finish? Thank you very much.